If you're over 60, this message could change everything. Stroke doesn't knock politely at your door. One moment you're planning tomorrow. The next, your body betrays you without warning. Your speech tangles into whispers. Your memory slips through your fingers like sand, and the life you knew becomes a distant echo. As someone who has spent years studying the intricate pathways of the human brain, I've witnessed too many preventable tragedies. The heartbreaking truth is that most strokes aren't inevitable acts of fate. They're the consequence of silent daily habits that accumulate like drops filling a bucket until it overflows. What terrifies me most isn't the strokes I see in emergency rooms, but the ones brewing in bedrooms across the world right now. In the quiet morning hours, millions of people unknowingly perform rituals that chip away at their brain's defenses. These aren't dramatic lifestyle failures or obvious health sins. They're ordinary routines that seem harmless, even healthy, but research reveals a darker reality. Today, we're going to examine 7 morning habits that can double your stroke risk overnight. Habits so common that you probably did several of them before reading this. The human brain is remarkably resilient, yet paradoxically fragile. It demands precise conditions to function: steady blood flow, optimal pressure, and carefully balanced chemistry. When morning routines disrupt these delicate requirements, your brain suffers in silence. Research from the Atherosclerosis Risk in Communities study, following over 11,000 people for nearly 8 years, has identified patterns that predict stroke with frightening accuracy. The morning hours represent a perfect storm of vulnerability, when natural blood pressure rises, circulation slows, and dehydration peaks. Your brain consumes 20% of your body's entire blood supply, despite weighing only 3 pounds. This extraordinary demand makes it exquisitely sensitive to even minor disruptions in circulation. All right, let's count down the habits that secretly raise your stroke risk overnight. Starting with number 7, the dangerous rush to rise. Picture this: your alarm sounds, and within seconds, you're vertical, feet hitting the floor. This seemingly innocent act may be the most dangerous thing you do all day. After 7 to 8 hours horizontal, your cardiovascular system operates in rest mode, with lowered blood pressure and reduced circulation. When you suddenly stand, gravity demands immediate redistribution of blood throughout your body. For many seniors, this demand exceeds their body's ability to respond. Research published in the American Heart Association's Stroke Journal reveals that orthostatic hypotension, the dangerous drop in blood pressure upon standing, doubles stroke risk. The Atherosclerosis Risk in Communities study found that people with orthostatic hypotension had a hazard ratio of 2.08 for ischemic stroke compared to those without this condition. This isn't a small statistical blip. It's a doubling of stroke risk from standing too quickly. When blood pressure drops suddenly, your brain receives inadequate blood flow. For seniors with already narrowed arteries, this momentary deprivation can trigger events leading to stroke. Mayo Clinic research confirms that orthostatic hypotension becomes increasingly common with age, affecting up to 30% of people over 65. Your baroreceptors, specialized cells that monitor blood pressure, slow down with age, making rapid adjustments increasingly difficult. When you stand suddenly, these aging sentinels can't respond fast enough to maintain proper brain circulation. The solution requires rewiring morning habits. Instead of automatic leaping to consciousness, implement graduated awakening. Spend 60 to 90 seconds in bed, taking slow, deep breaths. Sit on the bed's edge for 30 seconds before standing. This simple transition gives your cardiovascular system time to adjust. Next, habit 6, the morning dehydration crisis. Your brain is essentially a sophisticated water balloon, composed of 75% water and suspended in cerebrospinal fluid. After 7 to 8 hours without fluid intake, this remarkable organ faces a critical shortage that most people never recognize. While you sleep, you lose approximately 1 to 2 pounds of water through respiration and perspiration. You wake up in clinical dehydration, yet the first thing most people reach for isn't water, it's coffee. Research published in BMC Cardiovascular Disorders reveals the stark consequences of this oversight. Studies show that nearly 50% of stroke patients arrive at hospitals already dehydrated, with dehydration strongly correlating with worse outcomes. Dr. Mona Bahuth's research at Johns Hopkins found that dehydrated stroke patients had nearly 4 times higher risk of clinical deterioration. The mechanism is devastating. Dehydration thickens your blood, increases viscosity, and forces your heart to work harder to pump this sludge-like fluid through increasingly narrow vessels. The Frontiers in Neurology journal published findings showing that dehydration affects approximately 9% of stroke patients, but significantly impacts recovery and survival rates. When blood becomes viscous, it struggles to navigate through already compromised blood vessels. This creates the perfect environment for clot formation and vessel blockage. The morning represents peak dehydration, coinciding with the natural morning surge in blood pressure, a deadly combination. The antidote is remarkably simple, yet profoundly effective. Keep a 16-ounce glass of room-temperature water beside your bed. Before your feet touch the floor, before checking your phone, before any other morning ritual, drink that entire glass. This immediately begins rehydrating your brain, thinning your blood, and supporting healthy circulation. Next, habit 5, the hidden sodium bomb in breakfast. The American breakfast table harbors a silent assassin disguised as wholesome morning nutrition. Cereals marketed as heart-healthy, instant oatmeal packets, and whole grain breads share a dangerous secret. They're loaded with hidden sodium. Most people consume their entire daily sodium allowance before 9 a.m. without realizing it, setting their blood pressure on a dangerous trajectory. Research from the Northern Manhattan Study, published in the Journal of the American Heart Association, tracked over 2,500 participants and found that high sodium intake significantly increased stroke risk independent of other vascular risk factors. The study revealed that participants consuming high-sodium diets had substantially elevated stroke rates, particularly pronounced during morning hours when blood pressure naturally surges. The Interstroke study, analyzing data from over 27 countries, discovered a J-shaped relationship between sodium intake and stroke risk. People consuming less than 2.8 grams daily, or more than 4.26 grams daily, showed significantly increased stroke risk compared to moderate intake. Most breakfast foods push consumers into that dangerous high-sodium zone. A single serving of instant oatmeal can contain 400 to 500 milligrams of sodium, while 2 slices of whole grain bread add another 300 to 400 milligrams. Sodium causes your body to retain water, increasing blood volume and forcing your heart to pump harder. Your arteries stiffen under this pressure, and the delicate vessels in your brain bear the brunt of this assault. The morning blood pressure surge becomes dangerously amplified when combined with high sodium intake. Transforming your breakfast requires vigilance. Choose fresh fruits, plain oatmeal with cinnamon instead of instant packets, and unsalted nuts. Read labels religiously. Aim for less than 300 milligrams of sodium in your entire breakfast. Next, habit 4. The coffee catastrophe on empty stomach. Coffee represents modern life's most beloved drug, consumed by billions as a morning ritual that promises alertness and energy. However, research reveals that this beloved beverage can transform from friend to foe when consumed incorrectly, particularly for seniors with elevated blood pressure. The timing, quantity, and stomach contents when you drink coffee can determine whether it protects or threatens your brain. A comprehensive study published in the Journal of the American Heart Association, following over 18,600 Japanese adults for 2 decades, uncovered a startling finding. People with severe hypertension who consumed 2 or more cups of coffee daily doubled their risk of cardiovascular death compared to non-coffee drinkers. Dr. Hiroyasu Iso's team found that while 1 cup posed no increased risk, the second cup triggered a dangerous cascade in those with blood pressure readings of 160/100 or higher. Within 30 minutes of consumption, caffeine constricts blood vessels, elevates heart rate, and increases adrenaline production. On an empty stomach, these effects intensify dramatically. Your body lacks the buffering effect of food, allowing caffeine to hit your system like a cardiovascular sledgehammer. For seniors with already compromised circulation, this sudden vasoconstriction can reduce blood flow to critical brain regions. Research published in Circulation examined coffee's impact on cerebral blood flow, finding that 250 to 500 milligrams of caffeine could decrease brain blood flow by up to 30% within 90 minutes. This reduction, combined with morning dehydration and natural blood pressure surge, creates optimal conditions for stroke. The solution isn't coffee elimination, but intelligent consumption. Start your morning with water. Eat a small breakfast containing healthy fats and protein. Then limit yourself to 1 moderate cup of coffee. Avoid sugar and artificial creamers. If you experience dizziness, palpitations, or unusual fatigue after coffee, your body is warning you. Next, habit 3. Ignoring your body's warning system. Your body possesses a sophisticated early warning system, constantly monitoring and communicating potential threats to your survival. Morning dizziness, weakness, or subtle changes in coordination aren't signs of aging. They're urgent telegrams from your brain announcing circulation problems that demand immediate attention. The tragedy is that most people dismiss these signals as inevitable consequences of getting older, missing critical opportunities to prevent devastating strokes. Research published in Neurology examined the relationship between orthostatic hypotension and subsequent neurological events in over 11,700 participants followed for 25 years. The findings were sobering. People experiencing morning dizziness or weakness had a 54% higher risk of developing dementia and more than double the risk of ischemic stroke. These weren't dramatic symptoms. They were subtle signs that participants often attributed to just getting up too fast or needing more coffee. The atherosclerosis risk in communities study revealed that transient ischemic attacks, mini strokes that cause temporary symptoms, frequently occur in early morning hours and serve as powerful predictors of major strokes. Dr. Rebecca Gottsman's research showed that people experiencing brief episodes of weakness, dizziness, or coordination problems had dramatically elevated stroke risk. Your brain operates on razor-thin margins. Unlike other organs that can tolerate reduced blood flow for extended periods, brain tissue begins dying within minutes of inadequate circulation. Morning symptoms often represent your brain's desperate attempt to communicate that its blood supply is compromised. That momentary weakness in your arm, brief slurring of speech, or feeling that the room is spinning aren't isolated incidents. They're dress rehearsals for a major stroke. The response must be immediate and comprehensive. Document every unusual symptom, time of occurrence, duration, associated activities, and severity. Use smartphone apps or written logs to track patterns. Share this information with your healthcare provider immediately. In stroke medicine, we have a saying, "Time is brain." Every minute of delayed recognition represents irreversible brain damage. Next, habit 2, the medication. Minefield. Every morning, millions of seniors perform a ritual that could determine whether they live independently for years or suffer a devastating stroke: taking their medications. This seemingly simple act is fraught with dangers that most people never consider. Skipping doses, taking medications at wrong times, or worse, doubling up on missed doses, transforms life-saving drugs into potential weapons against your brain. Research published in BMC Cardiovascular Disorders examined medication adherence in stroke prevention and uncovered alarming patterns. The study found that non-adherence to blood pressure medications resulted in a 3.81 times higher risk of stroke-related death at 2-year follow-up and 3.01 times higher risk at 10 years. This isn't a small statistical variation. It's a tripling of death risk from something as controllable as taking pills correctly. Blood pressure naturally surges upon awakening, a phenomenon called the morning surge that researchers have linked to increased stroke incidence. Antihypertensive medications, blood thinners, and cholesterol drugs are specifically timed to counteract this surge. When seniors skip morning doses, they leave their brains unprotected during the most vulnerable time of day. A comprehensive Korean study published in PLOS ONE followed over 800 stroke patients and found that 35% experienced medication non-adherence. Those with poor adherence had an adjusted hazard ratio of 1.80 for recurrent stroke, myocardial infarction, or death compared to those with good adherence. The solution requires systematic approaches that remove human error. Use pill organizers with multiple compartments for different times of day. Set multiple smartphone alarms with specific medication names and dosages. Never adjust dosages independently. Your brain's circulation depends on precise medication levels that your doctor has carefully calculated. Next, Habit 1. The bathroom delay disaster. The most surprising entry on our list involves something so basic that most people never consider its impact on stroke risk: delaying your morning bathroom visit. This seemingly innocent habit triggers a cascade of physiological changes that can push vulnerable seniors over the edge into stroke territory. The mechanism is both fascinating and terrifying, involving stress hormones, blood pressure spikes, and cardiac rhythm disturbances. When you resist the urge to urinate after waking, your increasingly full bladder sends distress signals throughout your nervous system. Your body responds by releasing stress hormones, including cortisol and adrenaline, the same chemicals released during fight-or-flight responses. These hormones cause immediate vasoconstriction, narrowing of blood vessels, and sharp increases in both heart rate and blood pressure. For seniors with already compromised cardiovascular systems, this response can trigger dangerous cardiac arrhythmias. Research published in various cardiovascular journals has documented the toilet syncope phenomenon, where straining during urination causes sudden blood pressure changes that can lead to fainting or worse. But the morning delay presents an even more insidious threat. The longer you wait, the more stress hormones flood your system, creating sustained elevation in blood pressure during the already risky morning surge period. Studies of blood pressure variability have shown that sudden spikes, rather than chronically elevated pressure, often trigger acute cardiovascular events. The combination of morning dehydration, natural blood pressure elevation, and stress hormone release from bladder distension creates optimal conditions for stroke. The solution is elegantly simple. Make bathroom visits your absolute first priority upon waking. Don't check your phone. Don't review your schedule. Don't even fully wake up. Just go. This immediately relieves pressure on your nervous system, prevents stress hormone release, and allows your blood pressure to remain stable. Stroke doesn't announce its arrival with fanfare or warning. It slips into lives quietly, often during the peaceful morning hours when you should feel safest. but now you understand the hidden dangers lurking in seemingly innocent routines. Every habit we've discussed represents a choice, a daily decision that either protects or threatens your brain's delicate ecosystem. The research is unequivocal. Small changes in morning routines can dramatically alter stroke risk. These aren't dramatic lifestyle overhauls requiring months of preparation. They're simple morning modifications that you can implement tomorrow. The cumulative effect of these changes extends far beyond stroke prevention. You'll experience improved energy, better cognitive function, enhanced mood stability, and greater confidence in your body's reliability. Your mornings shape not just your day, but potentially your entire future. The habits you perform in those first crucial hours after waking determine whether your brain receives the gentle, supportive environment it needs or faces assault from multiple directions. Make the choice for protection. Make the choice for prevention. Make the choice for a future filled with clear thinking, steady movement, and uncompromised independence. If this video was helpful, kindly type "yes" in the comment. That motivates us to produce more content like this. Please like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear this message, and subscribe for more brain-protective content. Thank you for taking these minutes to invest in your brain's future. It's the most important investment you'll ever make.